Imagine a creature so small, it is almost invisible. Now, imagine that this tiny organism can seize control of a much larger animal's brain. It can force its host to walk, to climb, to swim, or even to die. This is not the plot of a science fiction movie. It is a daily reality happening all around us, in our backyards, in our forests, and even in our cities. The world is full of parasites that have evolved the astonishing ability to become puppeteers. They pull the strings of their hosts, manipulating their behavior for one single purpose: their own survival and reproduction. These mind controllers are some of the most fascinating and frankly unsettling products of evolution. The very idea of one creature controlling another's mind seems to defy the laws of nature. We think of animals as having agency, making decisions based on instinct and survival. But what happens when another organism hijacks those very instincts? The host becomes a vehicle, a mindless zombie driven by the parasite's agenda. This process, known as parasitic manipulation, is more common than you might think. Scientists have discovered hundreds of examples, each more bizarre than the last. The puppeteers are all around us, and they have been pulling the strings for a very, very long time, shaping ecosystems in ways we are only just beginning to comprehend. Deep in the tropical rainforests, Brazil, Thailand, a grim procession takes place every day. An ant, a member of a bustling and organized colony, suddenly leaves its post. It abandons its duties, its sisters, and its home. It begins to climb. It moves erratically, twitching, convulsing as it ascends a plant stem. This is no ordinary climb, it is a death march. The ant is under the control of a fungus called Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, often known as the zombie ant fungus. The fungus has infected the ant's body, issuing commands directly to its muscles, driving it upward against all its natural instincts. The fungus has a very specific goal. It needs to get its host to the perfect location for it to reproduce. A leaf about 25 centimeters off the ground on the north side of a plant where the temperature and humidity are just right for fungal growth. As the ant reaches this exact spot, the fungus delivers its final fatal command. The ant's mandibles clamp down onto the vein of the leaf in a death grip, locking it in place. The ant can no longer move. It is trapped, waiting for the end, its body now nothing more than an anchor for its parasitic master. Once the ant is secured, the fungus begins its final stage. It consumes the ant's insides, using the nutrients to fuel its own growth. Soon a long stalk or stroma begins to erupt from the back of the ant's head. This stalk grows for days, a gruesome monument to the parasite's victory. It looks like a horn growing from the corpse, a clear signal that the takeover is complete. The ant itself is long dead, but its body remains, a chilling statue clamped to the leaf. A testament to the fungus's incredible power of manipulation and control over its host's final moments. Finally, the stalk is ready to release its deadly cargo. The tip of the stalk develops a fruiting body that showers the forest floor below with thousands of microscopic spores. These spores rain down on other unsuspecting ants foraging on the ground. When a new ant comes into contact with a spore, the cycle begins anew. The fungus will burrow into its body, grow through its systems, and eventually seize control of its mind, turning it into the next zombie programmed to climb. This precise targeted manipulation ensures the fungus continues its lineage, creating graveyards of dead ants all hanging from leaves at that perfect fatal height. Imagine a cricket, a creature of the land. It lives in fields and forests far from any significant body of water. Its entire life is spent on solid ground. It cannot swim. Suddenly, one day, it feels an irresistible urge. Not toward food, not toward a mate, it moves to the nearest stream, the nearest pond, or even a swimming pool. It moves with a strange, determined purpose, as if possessed. When it reaches the water's edge, it leaps in. This is not an accident. It is forced suicide by a parasite. The horsehair worm, a long, thin horsehair worm emerging from the body of a cricket near water. The horsehair worm begins life as a tiny larva in the water. It gets eaten as a mosquito larva, which then develops into an adult mosquito. When that mosquito is eaten by a land insect like a cricket or a grasshopper, inside the cricket, the worm grows, and it grows a lot. It can reach lengths of over a foot long, coiling like tangled spaghetti. It absorbs nutrients directly from its host, taking over internal space. The host becomes weak and lethargic. As the worm matures, it needs to get back to the water to mate. But the cricket's problem is it naturally avoids water. To solve this, the worm performs neurochemical warfare. The cricket is no longer in control. In the world of predator and prey, few instincts are stronger than a rodent's fear of a cat. The scent of cat urine is a powerful warning sign for any rat or mouse. triggering an immediate and panicked retreat. It's a deeply ingrained survival mechanism, honed over millions of years of coevolution. But what if that fear could be turned off? What if a rat suddenly lost its terror and instead became strangely, fatally attracted to the scent of its mortal enemy? This is precisely what happens when a rodent is infected with the single-celled parasite, Toxoplasma gondii. It rewires the rat's brain, making it reckless. Toxoplasma gondii is a master manipulator with a complex life cycle that requires two types of hosts. It can infect almost any warm-blooded animal, but it can only sexually reproduce inside the gut of a cat. So the parasite faces a significant challenge: how to get from an intermediate host, like a rat, into the stomach of a feline predator. Its solution is brilliant and insidious. It doesn't just wait for the rat to be caught by chance, it actively increases the odds by making the rat an easier target. It turns the rat's fear into a fatal attraction, a phenomenon scientists call fatal feline attraction. The parasite achieves this by forming cysts in the rat's brain, specifically targeting regions that control fear and anxiety, like the amygdala. These cysts appear to alter the brain's chemistry. Studies have shown that infected rats no longer show any aversion to the smell of cat urine. In fact, some evidence suggests they may even find the scent appealing, drawing them toward the very danger they should be fleeing. The parasite effectively hijacks the rat's threat response system, making it bold, reckless, and much more likely to be caught and eaten by a cat. The science of manipulation. How does a simple fungus or worm gain control over a brain, one of the most complex organs? The answer is not brute force, but subtle chemical sabotage. These parasites are master chemists producing molecules that interfere with the nervous system. They're not conscious, but natural selection found the keys to unlock and reprogram host behavior. One key strategy: manipulate neurotransmitters. Chemical messengers let brain cells communicate. They control mood, they control fear, they control movement, they control motivation. Studies on rats with Toxoplasma gondii suggest higher dopamine. Dopamine links to pleasure, reward, arousal. Tweaked dopamine in fear circuits and attraction circuits can flip a cat's terrifying smell into something intriguing or appealing, short-circuiting the rat's survival instincts. Another method: change the host's gene expression. Ophiocordyceps doesn't directly invade the ant brain, it forms a network of fungal cells through the ant's body, surrounding the brain, infiltrating muscles. It secretes compounds that interact with the ant's genes, changing gene expression. That lets the fungus seize motor neurons, hijack limbs, force the death grip bite, all without touching the brain cells issuing those commands. This is the result of an evolutionary arms race across millions of years. Scientists are exploring whether these molecules could one day inspire new treatments for human neurological and psychiatric disorders, anxiety disorders, depression, or even Parkinson's disease, which involves the disruption of the brain's dopamine system. Finally, the story of mind-controlling parasites serves as a powerful reminder of the complexity and interconnectedness of life. It challenges our ideas about free will and identity, showing that even an animal's most fundamental behaviors can be commandeered by another organism. The parasite, Toxoplasma gondii, infects billions of people worldwide, and while it's generally dormant, research is ongoing to understand if it subtly influences human behavior, just as it does in rats. Studying these puppeteers reveals a hidden layer of biology, one where survival depends on the ability to control not just one's own body, but the mind of another.